Hey, what's going on, guys? Bot Mentality here, and I have some ES technical analysis here for you today. We're just going to jump into it. So let's talk about today's session. Essentially, guys, what we had is just a lot of chopping action between, you can say, 4,500 supply and 4,470 demand, right? Which was the low of pre-market. A lot of chop through that area. Outside of that, nothing significant has developed today. Notice that on the daily, go back to Friday's video or the last video I updated, and I talked a lot about, I think it was Sunday. Yeah, just look at Sunday's video, last video uploaded, and you'll see that I talked about just because we had 3 red days in a row doesn't mean we're just going to collapse through 4,400. Because we had these strong upper wicks, I talked about the high likelihood of an inside bar. That's exactly what we got today. 4th red day in a row, and we haven't snapped. Doesn't mean we can't. But let's just look at from the perspective of the bears. If you were piling in heavy short, you got chopped up today, right? Probably stopped out as we kept regaining supply and then flushing back to demand and then getting bought up from demand, right? It was just a chop fest. The important price action today didn't happen on the ES, it happened on the VIX. Look at the VIX. We had an initial gap up and lower highs and selling off throughout the day, okay? We did roll just barely the lows here from Friday, and then we popped up into the close as we saw that big downside confirm. Despite that, okay, the VIX is making lower highs on the daily, right? And lower lows on the daily as well. So heading into tomorrow's price action, let me move my alert down. Pretty much what we're looking for is under 44.70, okay? You see we poked below it here into the close, but we soaked it. Under 44.70, there is a high likelihood we move down to retest that 44.35. You could say 44.35, 44.40, essentially this previous pivot low. If we test that low, below that, we fall back within the previous channel, and 42.70 is the most likely macro target, okay? As long as we hold 44.35 over today, tomorrow, this week, we're just essentially consolidating for a reclaim of 4,500 and a breakout over 45.50 to go test the 45.80 supply, right? During tonight's session, if we get over 4,500, right, and we base over that, we're going to move towards 45.20, and then we can move higher. As far as the bulls, victory, quote unquote, is just not breaking 44.35. As long as we hang out over there, we don't have much of a stress, and that's kind of proven by the VIX seeing lower highs here, despite the ES going roughly sideways or even a little bit down. The VIX went down as well because there isn't much panic, there isn't much fear right now. The fear will ignite on the VIX when you see the ES break below that 44.35. So that's the most important thing to be watching. If you look at beta names, a lot of them had intraday lower highs, which is interesting. And it's something to keep in note that they did see some pullback. We saw the lower highs here on beta. Most of them are above the prior day's low. Okay, we jump over to Amazon, above the prior day's low. Jump over to AMD, above the prior day's low. We jump over to NVIDIA, above the prior day's low. Jump over to Apple. Did we just start on Apple? Yeah, above the prior day's low. Microsoft above the prior day's low. So just because we've seen this sideways price action, maybe a little bit down here on the ES, we saw the VIX dropping. We're seeing the beta names hold yesterday's low, which is fine. There's potential for the curl and upside breakout as long as we don't violate those lows on beta. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to catch up real quick on these charts and talk a little bit about them. Continue to develop that bot mentality, which is that trading mentality where you learn to control your emotions so you can trade like a machine, guys. And there's information if you want to join the chat room in the description box below. I am out of here. Deuces.